Today we're taking a look at these college basketball matches, which are happening on Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out our Patreon if you want access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comments section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comments section below. Wright State vs Wisconsin-Milwaukee. When looking at KenPom's adjusted efficiency margin, there is a difference here, as the Raiders are 181st in the country, with a -0.59 rating thus far, while the Panthers are 228th in the sport, with a -5.09 rating this year. There is a massive difference on the defensive side of the court lately, as Wright State is giving up 67.7 points in their last 3 games, while Milwaukee is allowing 83.3 points in their previous 4 games. The road team has covered in 5 of the last 7 games against one another, so go with the Wright State Raiders to cover here as well. Our team pick is Wright State Raiders -1.5 points. These programs have been 2 of the most fast-paced programs in the nation, as the Panthers are 17th in the sport with 75.2 possessions per game, while the Raiders are right behind them at 18th with 75 possessions per game. These offenses have been absolutely electric as of late, with Wright State scoring 75.5 points in their last 4 games, while Milwaukee is averaging 88.5 points in their previous 2 games. The over is 6-1-1 in the last 8 Raiders games against a team with a winning record, as well as in 9 of the previous 12 Panthers games, so take the over. Our total pick is over 157.5 points. Monroe vs Georgia Southern. It is difficult to look at their prior matchup and not expect more of the same, as the Warhawks picked up a 72-59 road win. Throughout the season, the ability to knock down threes is critical, and there is a clear difference here, as Monroe is 144th in the nation, shooting 34.8% from beyond the arc, while Georgia Southern is all the way down at 292nd in college basketball, with a 31.9 three-point percentage as a team. The total rebounding numbers are neck and neck with one another as well, with the Warhawks grabbing 35 total rebounds per game, while the Eagles are averaging 35.6 total rebounds per game. All in all, go with the Monroe Warhawks to cover the spread. When looking at the adjusted offensive rating provided by KenPom, neither team has been doing too well, as Monroe ranks 313th in college basketball, with a 98.5 offensive rating, while Georgia Southern is 251st in the sport, with a 102.2 rating thus far. In their last 3 regular season games, these offenses are not scoring the ball, much as the Warhawks are averaging 61.3 points per game, while the Eagles are scoring 70.3 points per game. These teams are also playing at a very methodical pace, with Monroe ranking 239th in the country with 68.8 possessions per game, and Georgia Southern being 247th with 68.6 possessions per game. Go with the under, as it just seems to be the right call here. UCLA Bruins vs Arizona State Sun Devils. There aren't many teams playing better basketball in the country than UCLA right now, and while Arizona State has found some success of late, they'll be asked to overcome too much in this one. The Bruins have one of the best home court advantages in college basketball, and with a balance when it comes to the offensive and defensive ends, as well as the backcourt and frontcourt, success won't be difficult for this group to find in this one. Expect UCLA's ability to dominate both the offensive and defensive glass to be a massive difference in this one, and their ability to generate second chance opportunities will be fruitful. Additionally, according to Covers.com, Arizona State is 1-5 at TS in their last 6 games, following a straight-up win. Also, the favorite is 5-1 at TS in the last 8 meetings between the 2 teams, and the home team is 17-7 at TS in the last 26 meetings overall. Our team pick is UCLA. Desmond Cambridge Jr. is the offensive leader for Arizona State this season, averaging 13.9 points per game on 41.1% shooting from the floor. DJ Horn chips in 11.8 points per game, and Frankie Collins averages 10.4 points to go along with a team-high 4.5 assists. Warren Washington is averaging 9.1 points and leads Arizona State averaging 6.7 rebounds per game. The UCLA Bruins go back home Thursday night ranked number 4 in the nation, riding a long win streak following a 4-point victory against Colorado. Defensively, UCLA was fantastic, allowing only 56 points on 33.3% shooting and forced 12 turnovers in the win. Offensively, UCLA was the better team, making really 41% of their shots and knocked down 15 free throws to secure the victory. Jamie Jack is Jr.'s the offensive leader for UCLA this season, averaging 17 points per game on 48.9% shooting from the floor to go along with a team-leading 8 rebounds per game as well. Jalen Clark is second on the team, averaging 13 points per game, and Amari Bailey averages 10.1 points per game as well. Tyger Campbell chips in a third-best 12.5 points to go along with a team-leading 4.7 assists. Our total pick is over 133 points. Purdue vs Wisconsin. Both teams come into this game with something to play for. The Boilermakers are still fighting for a top seed in the NCAA tournament and would obviously like to enter the Big Ten tournament with some momentum rather than a 2-game losing streak. Wisconsin is clinging to tournament hopes, and a loss here would be near fatal for those chances. In the last 10 meetings between the two teams, Purdue has gone 6-4. Wisconsin has an overall record of 9-5 at home this season, but the Badgers are just 4-10 at TS in that time. Purdue should dominate the paint in this matchup, with the league's number 1 rebounding team pitted against the 14th ranked rebounding of Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a dismal 4-14 at TS in its last 18 games. Look for Purdue to exert its will over Wisconsin and get back on track. Take Purdue. Wisconsin owns a rather interesting OU record relative to their home-road splits. On the road this year, the Badgers are 8-2 OU, surpassing their respective totals by an average of 10.2 points. At home this year, Wisconsin is 5-9 OU on the year, staying under their respective totals by an average of 4.9 points. The explanation for that disparity isn't all that hard though when you understand Wisconsin's slow-paced defensive team. At home, the Badgers are better able to dictate that style of play into the game and force their opponents into trying to beat them that way. It's what they'll look to do against Purdue, and while I'm not convinced the Badgers will have great success at it overall, there will be prolonged stretches where Wisconsin's defense will be like a brick wall. I don't think you can fully trust Purdue's offense to explode either, given the quality of the defense they are up against, and with Wisconsin 6-0 to the under in their last 6 home games, it's going under the total that makes the most sense. Our total pick is under 126.5 points. Memphis vs SMU. The first time these teams met, Memphis grabbed a 15-point victory as SMU shot 37% from the field in the game, while the Tigers hit 54.0% of their shots. SMU kept this game as close as they did by hitting 23 of 33 free throws. Otherwise, this could have been a 25-point blowout. While Memphis is clearly the better team, SMU has been quite impressive at staying in games of late. In fact, 3 of their last 4 losses have been by 5 points or fewer. That is why 7.5 points may be a little much for this contest, especially considering that Memphis is 12-15-2 against the spread. The Tigers have beaten their last 3 opponents by 5 points or fewer. Our team pick is SMU Mustangs at plus 7.5 points. Just to further elaborate on the above paragraphs, SMU scored 84 points while shooting just 36.6% when these two teams met at the end of January. This game was played at an insane pace, and I don't think anything's going to change this time around, considering these are 2 of the faster teams in the country. Memphis averages 72.1 possessions per 40 minutes, 16th, while SMU uses 69.9, 60th. I anticipate this being another back and forth, up and down the court barn burner. And like I said above, I like for the Mustangs to shoot better on their home court. Let's lock in the over. From a trend standpoint, SMU has seen the over cash in its last 5 home games, per OddsShark. The over has also hit in 5 of their last 6 games overall. Our total pick is over 151.5 points. UCSB vs UC Davis. The Gauchos arguably possess more depth than the Aggies and will be able to slow the pace down. UC Santa Barbara loves to take things slowly, tallying just 64.5 possessions per 40 minutes, 324th in the nation, whereas UC Davis prefers to play fast, racking up 70.7 possessions per 40 minutes, 39th. The Aggies are not a great defensive team. They can score and will look to get to the foul line as much as possible, but the Gauchos are managing to keep their opponents off the charity stripe. UC Santa Barbara is 6-0 Sioux and 5-1 at TS in its last 6 meetings with UC Davis, and I'm expecting the Gauchos to extend their dominance. Our team pick is Santa Barbara -1 point. The first game between these teams went over and it went well over, and that is the pick I am leaning toward in this game. The Gauchos scored 84 points in their win over UC Davis this season, and they scored 87 points in their last game. Look for them to have a good scoring game in this one. Yeah, the Aggies played good D in their last game, but they were facing a Cal Poly team that is a very low-scoring one and only has one conference win. They struggled with their shot in that game, and I look for that to happen again facing a good UCSB defense. The Aggies will not score big, but I look to the Gauchos to do just that, which is why the over is the pick. Take the over. Western Kentucky vs UTEP. Both of these teams are struggling as of late, especially UTEP, who only has 2 wins in their last 10 games. They were throttled in their last game where they struggled on both sides of the floor. The Miners also only shot 40.7% from the floor in their loss to Western Kentucky on the road several games back. UTEP's top scorers had bad last games, and their leading scorer Hardy has failed to crack double figures in the last 2 games. The Hilltoppers were also beaten pretty badly in their last game, where they did not shoot well, but played decent defense. I look for that to happen again, and this game will be a close one where Western Kentucky will, at least, cover the spread. Take WKU plus 3 points. The total for the first game between these teams went over, but with how each played in their last game, I am taking the under in this one. Okay, so the Miners were playing the top team in Conference USA on the road in their last game, where they only scored 49 points on 33.3% shooting. They will not score big or shoot the pill well in this game, just like their first game facing Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers only scored 60 points in their last game, but their defense was pretty good. This CUSA clash will be far from a barnburner, which is why the under is the pick. Take the under, 137 points. Stanford vs Oregon State. While there are just 2 wins separating Stanford and Oregon State, the statistics seem to suggest that the Cardinal are a significantly better team. Starting with one of the most basic stats out there, the Beavers are shooting just 41.4% from the field this year, making them 328th in the country in that category. Stanford, on the other hand, isn't insanely better, but they have a 3.4% advantage at 44.8%, 179th. The Cardinal has surprisingly been a solid team offensively, averaging 112.9 points per 100 possessions, 56th. I think they'll rely on their offense to cruise past this lowly Beavers side. Additionally, the Cardinal have had their number, going 13-5 Sioux over the last 18 matchups, while covering the spread in 5 of the last 6 games in Corvallis. Let's take Stanford minus 5.5 points to cover. While Stanford does have the offensive edge, let's not get ahead of ourselves by saying they're unstoppable. Considering the Cardinal are better on offense, it would appear that the Beavers will have to rely on their defense to keep them in this game. Luckily, that's the area where they've been better this season. Oregon State is currently 109th in adjusted defensive efficiency, limiting opponents to just 102.7 points per 100 possessions. On top of that, they run one of the slowest defenses in the country, using just 63.8 possessions per 40 minutes, 338. A bad offense with a slow pace, I'd have to think the smart play is the under 133 points in this one.